So Big Josh boy, I got to talk to you about something that I found legitimately fucking weird. Okay. And it's like, I don't know if I often say that I found things just kind of like off kilter, like legitimately weird. Most of the time, I would say that I shit on things.
Yeah.
I'll own that. I shit on a lot of things.
For sure.
I get irrationally angry like Ebenezer Scrooge at other things. Like, okay, yeah. I get it. I get it.
I've heard.
But I think I've spoken a couple. You've heard. I don't know why you saying you've heard is like I've heard through the grapevine that you could be kind of a bitch about certain things.
No. I've heard literally straight from the source.
You're like I have witnessed it.
every week I hear all of your ramblings and your bitching.
Fair enough. Bitching is what it is.
I'm basically your therapist.
I think so. Yeah. You're kind of like, you are truly that friend that I just go to rant to. And it's like, also, let's talk about a little bit of indie games. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. We'll put that on the side. That's fine.
Yeah. It's like, what's this podcast about? It's ranting. That's it.
Just enough to keep the name, right? Like just we don't lose our street cred among the indie
developers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So my wife and I think I've said this on a couple of episodes recent, but my wife and I have decided that like in 2020, we want to try to have a kid. And
2020? You mean 2022?
Yeah, we've already had
a 2-year-old?
Yeah, we have a 2-year-old right now. In 2022, we want to try to have a kid. And so we've had this issue where I don't know. Have you and Flora ever talked about like what you'd name your children? Don't say them because people will steal it. But
yeah, for sure.
Do you have a particular gender that you have so many more names for than the other?
Yeah, we want a girl more than a boy.
Dude, fucking same, bro. It's like, I feel so weird that I don't know. It's always this like masculine stereotype that men want to have boys. And I'm like, I really don't. Like,
I mean,
I feel like I'd raise a shitty kid, bro. Like, I'm going to raise a Chad and it's going to suck because I'm like, I'm not a Chad. How'd you get this way? Like, what's up? Why are you such a piece of shit? Who did this to you? You know?
It was you.
I know.
You did this to me, Dad.
I fucking birthed another Chad into the world. Any special reason that you guys would like a girl over a boy?
I thought about it a long time ago when I never was crazy about kids, but recently as I'm getting older, I'm more into the idea of like, we should probably have a kid. And when I first thought about it, I always wanted a boy because I'm like, well, I'll be able to, connect with them because I'll understand the plight of, going from boy to adult male. But then thinking like I've watched kind of how my some of my family members, they have my niece basically has come into this world, and I've basically taken care of her a lot throughout this whole endeavor of her life. I'm saying this in a very weird way. But the main point
this whole endeavor, like she's gonna die soon.
I mean, you don't know. We all are gonna die soon. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, what is time? Now, the point is, I have enjoyed spending time with her, and I know that a boy is going to be a lot more chaotic, and they're going to be a lot more shittier as a young. See, because here's the thing: a boy is real shitty when they're first like a little boy growing up, and then they get kind of more manageable, I would feel like, although it depends on what type of person they are. Whereas a girl, I feel like, is going to be a little bit nicer and easier to deal with in the earlier stages. And I'm like, I'm probably looking for more of that. Like, I feel like where I would start to get very nervous is when they start dating, and I'd be like, what are you doing to my fucking daughter?
I do love that the explanation is basically that girls are the training wheels of babies. Like it's just easier.
In a way. I don't know. Okay. I've spent a lot of time with my niece. I really enjoy her. I feel like if I had a kid like her, I would be into that as a parent. But I feel like a boy would suck.
Same, dude. No, like I for some reason like have always just envisioned our family just having daughters. Like I don't. Yeah, me, you. I mean, we could throw the ladies in there as well, like if we have to. But we'll buy a house. All we need is you and me.
Yeah, exactly. They'll live in a separate rooms. It's fine.
Yeah, it's cool. It's nothing weird about it. But
Nothing.
I've always envisioned like mine and my wife's family as having daughters. So now when we've decided like, okay, we're going to try to have kids and everything, and we've spoken about it for years, what exactly names that we'd enjoy. The only thing that sucks is every boy name that I've liked has either been taken and I hate that kid, or it has.
So are you? So you're
the
one
baby.
Like, I fucking hate you, baby. So you're okay, because you could also take the approach of being like, if I name this child that name, it breaks the cycle of shitty people with that name, right? Like,
I mean, I'm not trying to take back names. You know what I mean? Like that's just lost to time.
Be like,
this isn't about altruism.
Be like, Henry's a bitch, but like my Henry gonna be great.
He's
or whatever.
He's a cool kid.
He's a pretty cool kid.
It's also that like, okay, so I wanted, initially I was like, oh, if we have a boy, like I really loved Nino Kuni in The Wrath of the White Witch, and we got a little fucking ginger boy in there. His name is Oliver. I was like, shit, dude, I want to have a ginger boy named Oliver. That'd be sweet. And then for some reason, fair. For some reason, I don't know where it came from, but everyone just came out of the woodwork and was like, Oliver is one of the most popular boy names of like every year since. And I was like, what the fuck? And like people I know have named their boys Oliver. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And it just totally threw me off. And that same thing has happened over and over again with every boy name that I've liked.
Damn.
Plus, it's just like, there's always that issue where you're like, oh, I liked that name, but then I thought about it and I was like, I know a person, like an adult with that name, not just a kid. Cause like, whatever, dude, I could punch a kid, but like there's an adult, there's an adult with that name that I'm just like, I fucking hate you, bro.
Yeah,
like,
I get it.
You suck. And I feel like my child's existence would just be tainted with my hatred of that individual, you know?
We had the extra layer of my wife and I trying to figure out names, and I would be like, oh, I really like this name. And she'd go, can my mom pronounce that though? Because she can only speak Spanish. Fair. And there's names that just do not work. Like her mother had so difficult of a time trying to say my name for the longest time. It took her
call you Yash?
Yeah.
Oh, like, yes. That's great.
Like, to the point where I literally was like, she could not say my name. And I was like, just call me Finn. Because I was real big into Adventure Time at that time. And I was like, just call me Finn. It's fine. And we did that for like a year and a half of me first knowing her, where she just called me Finn all the time. And then she was like, this is getting kind of weird. Like, you seem like you're sticking around. Maybe we should give you
maybe I should try to learn your name. No, so that's something that I hadn't even thought about, is like people having issues saying the names. Luckily, I don't have that problem, but that's a solid one to have.
It's
you
tough.
know?
It's
you
tough.
know, Big Yash boy.
Big Yash boy, baby. Ja.
But so my wife and I, we signed up for this app. It's called Kinder, which is basically like Tinder for baby names. Yeah. So it gives you a baby name.
Baby? What's going on here? I don't like this.
Okay. Yeah. It's a little weird. So it's all about just baby names to match up you and your partner. So she initially started it and then gave me a basically what would be like a friend code. And I took it, and then we basically get like a list of all of these names and we say yes or no. And it will tell us all of the ones that we matched on. So it'll be like, okay, you both liked this name. You both like this name, whatever. And I eventually I got through it real quick. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. No. Yeah. No.
Are these all names that she selected?
No, they're just it's a list of popular baby names. Okay. Well, not even necessarily popular. It's just baby names. So they had things from famous authors. Like I saw Orson in there. And there's just a lot of different things. So after you finish the initial ones, you can go back through them again if you want, and it's 100 or so names. You can go back through them again if you want, or you can purchase name packs, which are like you can, and it's not like name packs like, oh, these are all the guy fucking D's. It's like, okay, these are name packs for specific regions. So it's like these are like Chinese names. These are basically all sorts of like for different ethnicities, different regions. They even have different fandoms, which I found interesting. They had a Lord of the Rings one, and I was like,
God.
okay. And each one of them, they had like 20, and they were like, oh, buy them for $1 each or spend $4 and get all of them. And it was like, spend who buys each one individually for $1? What dumbass does that? Like, okay, whatever. So my wife ended up buying the $4 or $5 like mega pack, essentially. They gave us all of these names. And I was like, we have all these names. I'm gonna turn them all on. So I clicked on you can like filter out certain things. So I clicked them all on. I've got like all of the regional names, every ethnicity, and I even have Lord of the Rings. And there was one of them that I found legitimately weird. This is the part that I found weird. Okay, 12 minutes into this.
This took a long time to get to this.
Yeah, finally
point.
get to talk about it. One of them, what would you say of your childhood pieces of entertainment? What do you think would be the weirdest thing to name your child? Like, let's say you've got a Saturday morning cartoon. The thing is, it's a very popular Saturday morning cartoon. Some people believe it to be an anime. It has a very popular video game franchise. What would you say that would be the weirdest thing to name your child after? You having a hard time guessing?
A little bit.
You need me to let you know?
Yeah. This is
I'll give
giving me
you another
video game trivia flashbacks.
I know, right? We're about to get that fucking Indie Pod special. I'll give you another one. It is a very popular Nintendo franchise. Man, dude, you are bad at trivia.
For an anime? But the part of like the anime is tripping me up.
Well, it's a cartoon and some people call it an anime.
Some people
it just depends. Dang, boy, you're having trouble.
No, I don't know I don't know this anime part. It's really tripping me up.
It's Pokemon.
Pokemon?
Yeah.
I don't know why, because I don't attribute Pokemon and Nintendo together, even though I should. Like when it comes to like, because you said the cartoon show, so I was thinking of like the weird ass Donkey Kong animated show. I was thinking of like Mario. For some reason, I started thinking Sonic, and I was like, that's not even Nintendo. But I was just thinking of like kids cartoon shows.
Yeah. No, it's Pokemon, and they had like a Pokemon pack in there, and initially I saw it, and my wife and I were like, haha, that'd be funny, like name your kid Bulbasaur or whatever, and I was like, nah, there's no way that that's actually what that is. It has to be like names from the Pokemon series, so you've got like Ash, Misty,
Brock.
Lucas, Brock, like all sorts of different names, May, like I would totally get that. So I, of course, since I added all those filters, I was like going through and I started to see names that like wouldn't necessarily make sense for me because it's like a fucking Swedish name. And I was like, I don't even know how to say that. It's always fun to come across the Lord of the Rings names where I was like, a lot of these you don't actually pronounce certain things because I'm a fan of the books and I'm just like, yeah, that's not actually said the way it's spelled, but yeah, we'll just go with it. And then I started to come across the super weird thing, which was like Chimchar. And I was like, what? What's happening? Yeah. I was like, because you put in like your surname, which is basically just your last name. So it would just combine things to make it easier. So it's like, oh, Ellie Hyde. Okay. That sounds like an interesting, like it sounds good.
Right.
And this was like Chimchar Hyde. And I was like, what you doing there?
So close.
You kind of took that in a weird way. And I was like, no way, that's all of it. Yeah, I came across several others that would be like, literally came across Trubbish, Skuntank, like basically, literally the worst fucking things. Imagine if your parents named you after a bag of trash. Like, I would fucking kill myself. I'm going to tell you right now, life is over. I'm a baby. I'm just like, SIDS, take me away, bro. I'm fucking done. Oh, that would suck so bad. But yeah, I legitimately found that uncomfortable and weird.
Super strange. I don't know.
Who would do that?
Gotta be a joke.
I thought so too, but I was thinking about it and I was like, you have to pay money for this.
$1. I have to pay $1 for Pokemon names.
I truly believe that someone out there has named their child Pikachu. You know what I mean?
If you have named your kid after a Pokemon name, please write in. Let us know.
Yeah, I mean,
because we might
I will publicly shame you.
At least our heads are in the same place there.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, we might, and I'm like, it's a guarantee. I will shame you.
We should probably start the episode.
Yeah, so there we go. Hello and welcome to IndiePod and Indie Games Podcast, your weekly source for all the indie games news you need to know. This week we're talking about it's actually kind of just a quick news story for the most part. Just thought it would be an interesting thing to talk about.
I figured you would have put the News Cram one as one of our main news story, but
okay,
guess we'll talk about that later.
The News Cram one, it's like, here's the thing.
It's a big reveal. It's a big reveal.
Every time you and I talk about any sort of like really bare concept, it basically becomes the same discussion where it's just like, this seems interesting, but we'll have to find out when it comes out.
What the fuck is it?
Oh, yeah, it's weird. We will definitely talk about it. But the main news story, the reason that I put it there, and this actually happens quite often, is that I didn't want to write out all the names of the games. So I was like, I would just instead have it as the main news story. And it'll be easy and fun. But
could just list a few.
Bro, I have a podcaster's integrity.
I love how you're like either all or nothing. I got no in between. I could either be real lazy or put a lot of work into it.
Absolutely, yeah. Sometimes you gotta straddle that line. It is a very thin one, you know what I mean? Of course, after we talk about the most popular Nintendo games this year, the ones that sold the most for our main news story, we are going to be hopping in to News Cram. We're actually going to be testing out a new segment on the show this week. Instead of God Bless the Crowd, we are going to be doing indie shoutouts. We'll probably talk about that a little bit more when we actually get to that segment, but just be prepared for that one to be a little bit weird. Your listener questions are, of course, going to be answered, and that's it because we don't want to talk to you at all at the end of that. It's going to be like hour and a half into this. I'll be fucking done, okay? It'll be just, I won't want to not see our virtual listeners' faces. You know what I mean? Like the abstract idea of Mr. Wombat Emperor looking at me is just too much.
First episode of the new year, and we're already attacking our listeners.
I know, and literally 2 weeks ago, I told you I wanted to be more positive, and I just immediately fucking shoot that idea down.
Dumped it all down there, just like we had a good run, 3 days in, good enough.
Absolutely. But before we get into any of that, I would like to introduce myself, Vaughn Hyde, alongside my illustrious co-host, the biggest of average, Yash Boys. How you doing today, big Yash Boy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. I was talking to you before we started recording. This was my first day back into the office, which just means I walked into this room and sat at a desk over there rather than here.
Oh, you totally threw me off. When you said into the office, I was like, hold up. Don't you work from home, bro?
Into that part of my room is what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, I don't sit there, you know? But that's
the dusty shit corner. Like, I don't like that.
For 2 weeks, it was.
All right.
Now we're back in the hot seat, as they say. But I'm good. I'm ready to talk about some games. I don't know how much, but based on our last couple episodes, but we'll see. We'll see.
Honestly, okay, here's the thing I find super weird. Yeah,
it just gave me like a...
No, I find it so weird that most of the industry takes off like all of the holiday. They're like the last 3 weeks of December or whatever, like the last couple weeks of December, a couple into January, we're just not going to do our jobs. I find that legitimately weird because then you see like, we got bros over on Twinfinite. We got like freelancers on Twinfinite and Nintendo Life. They're just cranking shit out. Fucking GameSpot's got the same like 3 different articles that they've had for 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Just keep it in rotation, baby.
I know. You have to wonder, like, is nothing newsworthy happening or is there just no one to cover it? I don't know. We'll fucking get to the bottom of it eventually. We're going to be talking about some indie games today. Before we do so, gotta hop into our housekeeping. Please check out our developer interview with Sergio Gil. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say that. I thought Big Joshua would know, but apparently not.
Maybe.
That developer interview.
Here's the thing, man. I do these interviews like
it's probably
a month in advance, and I do not remember shit.
All right. Okay.
I have very bad memory. Which is this for?
So, Sergio Gil of Code 351. Why did I say that so weird?
I did the same thing.
A huge pause.
I did the same
Code
thing.
351. I think it's like
this.
the fact that it's written out that it's just it like throws me off.
I did the same thing when we first started recording. I was like, all right, let's get into it. And I immediately tripped over that. And I was like, fuck, all right, let's just start again. Like, they pumped the brakes. For some reason, I can't say this properly.
Okay, so once again, that's Sergio Gil of Code 351. They're talking about their game Project Haven. That developer interview is going live on Wednesday, January 5th, so be sure to check it out. Once again, each and every Wednesday, you could check out some dope developer interviews that Big Josh Boy does himself. They're fantastic. Please listen to them. And also, you know what? If you're in your browser right now while you listen to this, or you just, next time you're going to hop over to XNXX or Pornhub, why not? Just hit up Teespring, go to that indie pod store, buy a t-shirt, buy a sticker. That camp girl doesn't need the money. We do.
That's
okay.
Usually what I do before porn. I look at my favorite podcast and see what merch they got.
There you go. We need to make this a thing. You got to pay the toll. Okay. You buy a sticker. You get to, you get to do your thing
quicker.
I don't know. I was like in my head, I was like, how am I gonna transition this appropriately? And I was like,
nope.
No,
appropriately.
It's not really in the indie pod spirit to transition well. So what?
That's true.
Fuck that. Also, head over to YouTube, check out Indie Pod over there. It's just Indie Pod, super easy to find. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, whatever. Click the bell icon. I don't know how it works. Leave us reviews on any site in which you could do so, specifically iTunes, and now Spotify allows you to do so. Both help us out quite a bit. And lastly, thank you so much to all of our amazing patrons at the $3 tier or higher. If you give us any amount of money or any amount of your time, we absolutely love and appreciate you and wish you a fantastic new year. Obviously not literally because this is live after the new year, but like of 2022, we hope it's going to be fantastic. But thank you so much to Ryan. I'm just going to say Ryan. They said I could say it. So I'm going to fucking say Ryan, okay? Because it's not happening. I'm not getting into the minutiae of this. So thank you so much to Ryan, Ethan, a gamer for fun, John. That's just John, bro. Zach Durham, Chase Hopkins, Philip Renshaw, the Wombat Emperor of Australia, and Sam Fillion from Canada. Thank you all so much. You are also amazing. And Big Yash Boy.
You really stick on that Yash Boy. You're really digging that this episode.
Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with it at this point.
Yeah.
So
all right.
Whatever, Big Yash Boy. So you've been playing more Binding of Isaac, and
bro,
everybody, be prepared. Be prepared to give him those sweet ass claps. Maybe the snaps if you're feeling, frisky.
Honestly,
Big Josh Boy.
I have so this holiday season, I took off time from work. I did very little. Few things here and there, chores wise, fun wise, but mostly playing Isaac. I was kind of addicted again. It's been really fun getting back into it. And one of the things that was great, I talked about this of like the challenge of playing this new character, that Tainted Isaac, or the Tainted Lost, is that you can only really get hit once unless you have a specific card called a holy card, which gives you a mantle, which means you can just get hit one additional time. And this character's super hard, but there are some things that are good about it. You have flight, and initially the items that you pick up are like stronger, but 1 to 2 hits and you're dead, right? But I challenged myself because Ryan was like, "Oh, what's your resolution?" I was like, "Whatever, I'll make up one on the spot." And I said, I'll in 2022 try to beat all of the bosses with this character. I only got one boss left, baby. I'm almost
Big
done.
Josh Boy's just he's powering through this New Year's resolution.
I only got one left, and we were just talking about it before we started recording. I'm pretty damn sure I'm on the run to beat this last boss. And if I do,
Ooh.
I'm never going to play Isaac again. No.
Oh, really? You're going to retire?
No.
You're going to retire on a high note?
I mean, I might as well. It's super. So this is one of those things where like, I love the fact that I went through with this because nothing feels better because I suck at a lot of games. Like I really do. I'm not very good at certain games, but it's very nice to know that you're like, oh, I'm pretty damn good at one. And granted, I'm not the best. Like I've seen people who can play this character and can get through on like streaks, which is just doing it multiple times without dying. Whereas that is not the case with me. But anytime I get a Steam achievement for beating one of the bosses for the Tainted Lost, and it's always like only 2% of people have done this, I'm always like, fuck yes, top 2%, baby. Like it's nice, you know, it's nice to be good at one thing in life, even if it's
All
just
right.
Isaac.
I mean, Big Josh boy, okay? You're a super you boy, you know what I mean? You're a cutie. So like, why you gotta be good at stuff, okay? It's just all sprinkles on the top. Everyone's like, damn, he's a cute, he's a swole, he's a thick ass boy. And he's good at Binding of Isaac, bro. I don't understand how you don't just like
The
have
full
fucking,
package.
you know, like dowries just thrown at you every day. You're like, sorry, I'm already married, and everybody's like, who cares, bro?
Who cares?
Fucking polygamy exists. Let's go. I will give you a dog. You know what I mean? Like, I will give you a goat, and you like, let's fucking go, bro.
I do need a new dog.
Those are my ideas of dowries, by the way. Is a goat and a dog. I don't
a goat. You live on a farm, bro?
I don't know necessarily what dowries are, to be real. Like I don't know if they exist all that much anymore. So
I don't
you know,
think so,
I went with
but
old timey shit.
I guess I'll take a dog and a goat. I mean, more a dog. I don't know what I'm gonna do with a goat. I can't
Milk it?
I'm not really into that.
Really?
I
You're
don't
like,
know.
Bro, you got them Frosted Flakes? You just go out there, you're like, pss, 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 pss.
I don't think you
probably
understand.
better than cow milk.
I don't think I'm gonna drink straight goat's milk.
You're not just gonna be like, bring it over here.
I'm bringing that.
You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I'll try it. I'll try anything twice.
Oh, okay. All right. Big Josh, wait, are you like excited to possibly be defeating this next boss in Binding of Isaac? And do you have anything that you want to kind of move on to afterwards within Isaac? I don't know how many of the characters you have like cleared, I guess.
So I've done a lot of them. But I don't know. I said, like, I kind of like mentioned it in the last couple of weeks that I've not been in like the right headspace, and like the real reason is my dog recently passed, which hit me like a fucking truck. And so honestly, Binding of Isaac has been great because it's been very comfort food of just keeping me in check, whereas like if I wasn't, I'd probably like think about shit, or I would, you know, just I can't really enjoy a lot of stuff other than that, whereas this is just, it's comfortable. So I'm going to try to get back on the train with like actually playing games so I can have things to talk about on this podcast other than Isaac, since I'm sure there's a lot of people who listen to us that are like, okay, Josh, we get it. You play Isaac. Like, good to know.
Dude, I was ridiculously excited when we got super close to recording and I saw that you had not filled out that you had played any games, and I was like, do we finally have a fucking week where Big Josh boy is the one who hasn't played a goddamn indie game?
No. I mean, here's the thing though, I am playing games, just not enough to talk about. Like, I've finished my friend Pedro, which we'll talk about on our actual book club episode. I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 with a buddy, but like very slowly, so that'll probably like, I'll wait until I'm like halfway through it to really give an update. So like, there's still games I'm playing, but like, it's a lot of Isaac. It's just, it's comforting. What I might do if things still suck for me is I might just restart from a fresh file and just replay the entire thing again.
Damn. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That'll be an interesting like little update bit. You're like,
we'll
you know
see.
what? I am playing more Isaac, but it's like I never played Isaac. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a fresh start. Okay. So that's awesome. I'm super glad that you're that close to beating your New Year's resolution. Way to set the bar low. That's fantastic.
Thank you. That's
Everyone
what
else
I do.
is like, You know what? You know what's weird? Everyone else right now is 3 days into a gym membership that they are absolutely going to let lapse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Big Josh Boy, he's fucking chugging away. He's getting this shit done as fast as possible because he's a winner.
That's what I do.
Like,
That's what I do.
He gets shit done.
I don't know, man. You know, you just gotta. It's tough being me, but somebody's got to do it. You know what's so funny is how like little confidence I have in real life and how much bullshit I say on this podcast.
That's very fair. I feel like once you get in front of the mic, anything can happen. You know what I mean?
It's also you gas me up way too much, so it just
bro.
Like, I eat it up.
Okay. All right. I'm glad to like inflate your ego. I feel good. You were talking about how there's one thing you're good at, bro. I can stroke an ego like no other, you know? Like,
I feel it. I feel it. That's what I come here for. Is that good stroke?
That's the only reason I do this. Is that good tug. So this week I've just been playing some more Eastward. I've also technically been playing like the Guardians of the Galaxy game, but that's not something I'm going to be talking about. Yeah, I decided to hop into it because it was on the like winter sale. Pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
Right,
it actually reminds me of like, I would say early Mass Effect. It's a little weird. I'll talk to you about it off the show probably. Yeah, sure. Or if people would like to write in and ask about it, you could do that next week, whatever. Yeah. But I've been playing more Eastward by Pixpil. I talked last week about how like I was getting the main story in a drip feed and it was kind of annoying me because I was like, I don't understand like what's happening, what I'm supposed to be excited about, what exactly is going to push this story forward. And I finally got to the point where like I played some more. I probably played like 3 or 4 more hours. I ended up getting out of the prologue and or chapter 1 like so long. I feel it's so many hours of just not doing anything substantial. I feel like Eastward is definitely kind of a slow burn. I mean, compared to like the fact that it's a 40-hour game, it's really not. Like when you actually take that into account, I feel like technically it gets into it pretty quickly. Right. But
is it actually chaptered out? Like does, you know, you get to a certain part and it goes like chapter 1 or chapter 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is. It that's actually something weird about it is that like it has, did you ever play Outriders?
Yes.
Yeah, you played some Outriders?
Yeah,
okay. Bit. Did you ever notice the excessive amounts of fade to black in Outriders?
Yeah.
Like you would go into a cutscene, fade to black, come out of a cutscene, fade to black, go into your menu, fade to black. Like it's just ridiculous. Eastward has a very similar issue where it will, every time you go to different areas, it does a fade to black and then a fade in. And these areas are not very large. So it will take you like 2 seconds to run literally just around a corner and it's a new area. And then you'll run around another corner, new area. So it's fade to black, fade to black, fade to black, fade to black. Super annoying. But yeah, I was just going to say like it fades to black and then it's like chapter 2. And I was like, okay. I actually just think I'm now in and possibly like halfway through chapter 3, but I am getting more of the story, or at least Sam's story for the first part. I don't know why I'm moving east. It kind of seems like very coincidental where things go wrong and then we have to flee and the train just happens to be facing eastward. So I'm going east. Like at this point in my playthrough, I don't necessarily know if there's an actual narrative reason as to why you're heading east, but whatever. It doesn't necessarily matter. I am legitimately hooked on Sam's story now. It's really, really interesting. Like the story of Sam in the miasma is cool enough to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm into this shit. Like it seems pretty interesting. I don't want to go too into it because I feel like that is a big draw for this game. Because if I'm being honest, combat, not super great. Yeah. It's pretty slow. And you can just button mash like with the pan. You could just sit there and smash X and kill anything because it does do a brief kind of stun, with the exception of bosses. But those are actually kind of like brief highlights where each one. I guess I've only been through a couple of bosses, but the first one is like a pot crab boss, and it's like this gigantic crab that you have to avoid and then hit these levers to build up steam that then bursts it out and you can hit it a bunch. it was an interesting little bit. The second boss is actually the same boss from the demo I played a year and a half or 2 years ago, where it's just this like weird robot with a gun and bombs. So you just have to hide behind these pillars, pop out, shoot it, hide, pop out, shoot it, get out of way of a bomb. It's not incredibly difficult, not really like gameplay intensive for the most part, but all in all, I don't think the combat is like anything special. You'd really come into this game for the kind of like, I would say wholesome art style, and like Sam's character is very wholesome, and this really intriguing story. I actually think this is marketed really well, where like one of the things that I guess I don't know necessarily if it was you or just like a lot of people have an issue with specifically Doki Doki Literature Club is that, or like, I guess you were kind of talking about Omori.
I was talking about Omori.
Where, that most recent trailer kind of puts it off as like this really nice game, and it doesn't get into the darker features of it. Very similar to Eastward, where it's like all of the stuff show this like really nice and kind of happy-go-lucky nature of the game. And it's like, now that I'm starting to understand, or at least think I understand what's going on, it's a little fucked up. Like,
Okay.
it's not, from what I understand, Omori fucked up, but it's a little fucked up, and I think that that's hidden very well. And I actually really, really like that. So obviously, I just kind of spoiled, in a sense, some of it for some people, but whatever.
It's fine. It's been out
You
long
just
enough.
know that it's going to get fucked up. Like, it's cool, whatever.
Okay.
But otherwise, I don't have like a massive amount to say about Eastward. I'm just kind of like making my way through it.
Do you think
once
you're gonna
again,
finish it?
I do want to.
Okay.
I want to see the end of it. I also want to go back and finish Ender Lilies because I haven't beaten it yet. I don't know if I'll necessarily finish either before our Indie Game of the Year episode, but I'm going to try to get through as much as possible. But I got to be honest, dude. I'm thinking I already know what my game of the year is, you know? Like, I've got it. It's almost locked and loaded in here.
All right.
But of course, we will be recording our Game of the Year episode fairly soon. I believe
it's like-
Josh and I talked about it being the week of the 17th. Am I correct on that one?
Yeah. So basically middle of the month.
Okay, sweet. So just to let everybody know, if you're listening to this, you're a patron, you're a plebe, whatever, we will be soliciting your favorite indie game of the year. So be sure, if you are already in our Discord, and you could just put it in the general chat. You can, general chat would probably be the easiest for those who are plebes. But if you're a patron, hop into that Patreon talk. Let us know what your favorite indie game of the year is, and we will talk about it on the show. You could also send us an email. It's indieincursion@gmail.com, or indieincursionpodcast@gmail.com is actually what it is.
Yep.
Because it was made all the way back when we were Indie Incursion. So that's super
What a
fun.
foolish name.
I know, it's just so bad. But we have covered what we've been playing, so it is time to hop in to our short main news story for this week.
Yeah.
This is over on the IGN. It's written by Adam Bankhurst, and it is Nintendo reveals the best-selling indie games on the Switch in 2021. These are in no particular order, but I am glad that a couple of them are popping up on there because I do really enjoy them. But we've got Axiom Verge 2, Curse of the Dead Gods, Cyber Shadow, Doki Doki Literature Club, Eastward, Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights, Islanders Console Edition, Littlewood, Road 96, Slime Rancher Portable Edition, Spelunky 2, Stick Fight the Game, Subnautica Plus, Subnautica Below Zero, Tetris Effect Connected, and Unpacking. All are the best-selling indie games of 2021, which is like, can we talk about how Unpacking came out not too long ago and it's one of the best-selling indie games on the Nintendo Switch? Like, we briefly spoke about it last week that it sold massive amounts in just like a month. In its first month, I think it sold over 100,000 copies.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's one of, I guess there are two ways to look at this. The fact that it's one of the best-selling Nintendo indie games on the Nintendo Switch could either mean there's not a lot of indie game sales on the Nintendo Switch this year, or that Unpacking is just selling that much. And I'm I'm thinking that its unpacking is just selling that much.
I think
you
so
know?
as well. But
So
it is interesting because unpacking, like, it's a pretty, I won't say it's a high price game. It's like $20. And like, I've played unpacking and there's a good amount of it, but like $20 is pretty steep. So it's interesting.
$19.99.
Yeah, it's interesting that that's doing so well in such a short amount of time, like you said. But I guess it's just, that puzzle game got a lot of hype in the industry. I've played it. I didn't think it was that great. But it's just me. Like, I can understand the back end storytelling of it and the Zen esque portion to it. But I think it's cool. I think it's also interesting that things like Cyber Shadow are there, which is from 2020, which is like, it's still popping off, even though when we just talked about it recently, we were like, yeah, it basically was there and then died. But like, I guess not.
Like, not many people talk about Cyber Shadow.
So like, people aren't talking about it, but people are still buying it, which is interesting.
It's especially interesting because I think, it was initially available on Game Pass, and I think it might still be. I'm not 100% certain on that fact. But
let me do a quick check.
Like, it's pretty crazy how many people playing that bitch on the Nintendo Switch, seemingly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this brings up, the other discussion of like, does Game Pass help or hurt games? And it seemingly keeps helping because people will be able to play it and then still buy it somewhere else. Or maybe they just, people talk about it that have it and others don't have Game Pass and then buy it. Like, I don't know, because it is weird. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm definitely one of the people who, like, if you put it on Game Pass, it's not going to help you because I'm not buying it then. But I guess it still helps for a lot of other people. If I go through Cyber Shadow, it's still Game Pass.
Oh, so there you go.
I can still play it.
Nice. Well, I'm glad it's selling so well, seemingly on the Nintendo Switch. That's pretty sweet. We also got like Spelunky 2. I believe that came out last year as well. So that's getting like seeing some good sales. Obviously Eastward and Ender Lilies came out this year, but still, I really, really enjoy Ender Lilies, and Eastward I'm like really warming up to. So I'm glad that they're selling pretty well. So it's great to hear indies selling well.
I think the one that's the most interesting to me is Ender Lilies, because I feel like even though, I've heard a few people like yourself and other people in the industry who have said like it's a good game, I feel like it hasn't really been talked about as much. Like, I very rarely hear anything about this game.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't think it's received any sort of like, I guess, mainstream success, and not many people on gaming podcasts talk about it. I've only heard like one or two, but granted, I don't listen to a massive amount of gaming podcasts now anyway, so that could also be a problem. But
there you go.
It's great to hear the indie games selling on the Nintendo Switch, but we have covered this enough. Told you it's just going to be a quick one. So it's time to hop in to News Cram. News Cram is our weekly wrap-up segment where we, the hosts of Indie Pod and Indie Games Podcast, cram you full of all sorts of indie games news. This week in News Cram, we have one quick news story for you before, of course, hopping in to new deals and quick steals, talking about some new stuff, and that's it. We're gonna hop into our news segment after that. It's gonna be sweet. But our first and only quick news story for today comes by way of IGN, where it's reported that Greg Lobanov, developer of Wondersong and Chikorita Colorful Tale, is teasing their next game on Twitter with a small gif of a mismatched creature with the promise of more details sometime in 2022. Yeah, this is like an Avatar The Last Airbender thing where everyone's freaked out that there's just a normal bear because all of their shit is like weird mismatches. This bitch looks like Momo from Avatar mixed with like a frog. It looks weird.
Where's its arms?
I don't know, dude. Does it have arms? Like, is it just legs? It's very odd.
It's got
for the most part.
Interesting eyeshadow around its face. I don't know. Its tail looks too big. Like, I wasn't sure if that was a tail at first. I was like, what is that? Is he pooping? Like, I don't know what's happening right here.
Is that a butt dong? Like, what you got there?
Like, what is this? I don't
should.
know.
One thing I did also want to clarify is that it's not just Greg Lobanov working on this. It is the Wondersong team.
Yeah.
Not Wondersong. Chicory and Colorful Tale team is also working on this. So I believe that would also include. I believe their name is Lena, the composer that also did the music for Celeste and Chicory. If I'm not, I know they did Celeste, but I'm not 1,000,000% on Chicory. But I feel like I'm correct. But yeah, it looks weird. I just felt like this was kind of a quick news story thing because I didn't think we were gonna get really into it at all. So
I don't know. I mean, well, let's get into it. You know?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's see.
You want a deep dive on this?
Deep dive.
So it goes like whoop, whoop, whoop. Like it just, it's kind of doing its thing.
Got a little hops.
As deep as I can go.
Yeah. All right. There you go. We had Wondersong, which had fairly limited gameplay. We had Chicory, which had more gameplay. Do you think this one is going to be like a full-fledged, like this is a platformer and you're this weird fucking jumpy boy thing?
It could be, or you know what? Maybe they just maybe this is a racing game. And they just they go crazy with it. And this is just like a weird creature racing game. You know what was actually kind of odd is like the second I saw the GIF, I was like, this looks like some Spore shit. Like this looks like some randomly generated Spore shit. It's weird. So
I think maybe a Spore version, but like a 2D animated type Spore would be really cool. I'd be into that.
Maybe that's what it is. Okay. All
I
right.
like it. I like it.
We have speculated quite a bit. So now it's on to some new deals and quick steals. Our first and only deal for this week comes by way of Nintendo Life, where it's reported that there's a sweet New Year's sale on the Nintendo Switch eShop specifically in the EU. I know that the Nintendo Switch isn't necessarily region locked. I believe you can make different accounts that can actually be in different regions. So you could technically just hop over to the EU store. You could purchase some of these games on that one. I believe you might be able to share those between accounts on the Switch that you have. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, this sale supposedly specifically in the EU for all of our EU listeners and anyone else who wants to figure out how to purchase from the EU store. But they have price drops as high as 75% on some of your favorite indie games like Moonlight or Blasphemous, This War of Mine, and many more. But the sale only lasts until January 12th, so be sure to pick up some cheap indies while you still can. And it is time for us to hop into some new stuff. Our first item of new stuff comes by way of Nintendo Life, where it's reported that ambient strategy game Euphoria, it's like Euphoria, but Floria, like flowers, you know what I mean? They're real into wordplay. By Rudolph Kramers, I believe, Alex May, and Tuna. The last one is just Tuna. So,
Tuna?
All right. Is now available on the Nintendo Switch, and now over on Twinfinite, where it's reported that adventure game The Dark Side Detective and Fumble in the Dark by Spooky Doorway just received some free winter DLC across all platforms that adds 6 unique cases, new music tracks, and much more to the game. That's actually it for News Cram, dude.
Woo,
that's
baby,
it.
That's it?
Very, very quick.
What?
What? Just to let everybody know, Big Josh Boy was worried that I would not have a transition prepared for this bad boy. And guess what? I do, because I'm just going to use the old one. So Big Josh Boy, we've been blessed with so many amazing indie game news stories that it's time to give back to the creators in our next segment. This is where the biggest of average Josh boys and myself hop into all sorts of different sites, not just crowdfunding, but just all sorts of different sites in general. And we shout out some sweet ass indies that we see. Big Josh Boy, what you got for this week?
You know, you didn't even name the segment.
I mean, you just did the indie shout out. I wasn't sure if that's
is that the name? Is that what we're sticking with?
If that's what you wanted or not. Dude, I didn't even know we were doing this week until I saw that you wrote that shit down. So
you see how ill prepared we are for this shit? Look, the indie shout out, or whatever it might be called down the road, is just us shouting out to specific developers or specific games because, one, I want to give a little backstory. I was kind of tired of doing Kickstarter stuff and Fig stuff and whatever, the crowdfunding site. It doesn't mean we won't ever pick. Like, I might still find a Kickstarter game and talk about it in the indie shout out, but like, I don't want it just to be that format because I was kind of getting stale. And there was a lot of times where I'd pick, like, it's good for it to be 2 picks because like we would pick something that I'd know you would absolutely hate, and it would be like, come on, Vaughn, let's talk about this game. And you'd be like, well, it's not for me, but you tried to be like impartial, but then you would shit on it anyway.
I'm like, it's got cards.
It's got, bro, there's a lot of card games. It's a thing now.
It is, yeah.
Get with the
There's
times.
a lot, especially on Kickstarter. There's a shitload of card games, dude.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about. Anyway, so for the first one, I was literally, and this is probably how a lot of them are going to be for me, but I was just on Twitter. Twitter's a great place to find indie devs that are creating games, and they'll send screenshots, they'll send videos. And I found one that was super cool that was in my feed today, and I was like, all right, we'll talk about this one. So this is from a studio called Divine Studios. They're working on a game which seems to be called Valorous. Valorous. And the reason why I say seems to be talking about that is because they don't really have like a Steam page or anything. They just keep posting like every month or every couple of weeks or so a new video or clip of the game. Game looks super cool. Looks very polished, but it seemingly is at a state where they don't really have anything as far as like, I don't think they're trying to actively like market too crazily. There was a post back in November that said in a few months they'll have a demo out, so I'm super excited to see. But this game is basically a top-down mech suit type hack and slash and shooting game. Apparently it's also a roguelike. I haven't seen how, but there's a lot of cool videos and a lot of cool just little clips of your character doing these interesting attacks. You get like 4 different weapons that you can cycle through and combine them in different ways. They're saying where you can have like a bow, you can have a sword, you can have just a gun, and you're shooting these enemies. But like, it's really cool because you have these, what seems like these special powers where you're like dashing through this giant open world type platformer, but also killing all these enemies that are randomly there. It looks really good. I'd recommend that people check it out. Once again, there's not really too much just yet because it doesn't look like they have a Steam page. They just have their Twitter and an Instagram. I'll give you the Twitter though, just so people can find them. It's just at Divine Studios. And I'm pretty sure the O in Studios is a 0.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Let me weigh in on this. That's definitely a 0. Yeah. That's a 0.
Looks like a 0.
It's like the ovalish, you know what I mean? You know it's a 0.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
This looks super cool. Honestly, like while looking at it, it reminds me of a lot of like I believe they're Space Marines from Warhammer, like 40K or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it reminds, like the art style reminds me a lot of that with like the pseudo mech suit and the blades, the gun, stuff like that. I mean, it really threw me off. Like if you're watching the video and while Josh was talking, I just randomly started making faces. It was because I had skipped between a couple of different videos and saw like the hack and slash and the gun, and then bro just whips out a fucking bow and starts shooting like purple lightning. I was like, what is this shit?
Yeah,
it looks very cool.
A lot of lasers and explosions happening in this. It's I assume I mean, obviously we don't have too much on it, but I assume this would be a game that I would really enjoy.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. So once again, that is Divine Studios over on Twitter. Basically, Studios spelled with a 0 instead of an O, and they are working on a game called Valorous. That was Big Josh Boy's indie shout out for me. This week, I wanted to shout out, and technically this would be kind of like in just, I guess, a revamping of a shout out I technically did earlier on our Twitter, was of a game that I came across called Trails of Sunder by, I want to say Pixel Cause. It's like Kauz. It is an upcoming monster tamer inspired by both Pokemon and Elder Scrolls. The Elder Scrolls thing really throws me off because I'm like, in what way?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know how that's working because it is a seemingly a very similar to the early Pokemon games where it's this like pixel art 2D isometric game where you just seemingly go around, you do some creature collecting and such. The reason I wanted to talk about this one was I initially came across it and just really, really fell in love with its creature designs with Pokemon, and this is just in my opinion, Pokemon Sword and Shield, I feel like Game Freak and like the Pokemon Company have just kind of gotten worse and worse over the years at designing creatures. Whereas I feel like indie developers and like, well, I guess indie developers and just others, fan artists, have started to make really, really awesome creature designs. And this is one that I came across. Once again, it is Trails of Sunder. Very, very cool. You can find the developer over on Twitter. It's Pixpil Cause. They have like, I just really kind of fallen in love with the design of axolotls recently. And they've got like hella axolotls. They have these weird like vampiric bats that look like Dracula. They have like a freaking like little kitty cat that turns into a fucking cat chad. And he's got a dope ass like buckler shield and a massive sword. Like it's very much a mix of like the creatures of Pokemon and the creatures of Digimon in a sense, where it's like, why is that bitch got a sword?
Yeah,
like what is exactly that all about? But I really love it. I'm a big fan of like creature designs in general. And I actually like with disc creatures coming up and like all sorts of different monster tamers, I'm very in to checking out some new monster tamers. So I just kind of wanted to shout this one out. Once again, Trails of Sunder over on Twitter. You can follow the developer at Pixpil Cause. That's Pixel like you'd expect. And then Kauz, all one word, just at Pixpil Cause. So Big Josh boy, now that we have shouted out some indies, it is time to answer our listener questions. This week, so Ryan wrote this in our Discord, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to read it anyway. I don't know if they necessarily want everyone who listens to this show to hear this story, but let's just get into it.
It's a good story.
So Ryan writes in and says, quick story before next week's question. I have a job. I work. I do love that they say I have a job, comma.
Just in case.
Like, just to let you know. Like, yeah.
I'm not just crazy.
I have a job. I work helping out a business that works with animal farming and whatnot. The other day, while working out of nowhere, I had the worst stomach ache. After a moment, I realized that I really needed to poop. That's the worst, dude. When you get like poo cramps.
Just happened to me the other day. We were out and about, and we were on this like this tour thing, and the tour guide was like talking about shit, and I was like, I don't fucking care. Let's get to the next place that has a bathroom.
I know it sucks so much. Like everyone thinks that I'm just like this guy that's constantly on the verge of shitting his pants. No, it's not that. It's just that like poo cramps just like come on, and it's like you'll be fine one second, the next second it's like I have to fucking dump out. Like it's gonna happen. I'm hurting. I need a squirt. You know what I mean? Like I gotta get out of here. They go on to say, then I took a little while to get to the bathroom to find that the door was locked, which, dude, you best believe I'd be popping a squad just pooping right on that door. You know what I mean? Fuck them. After about 2 hours of holding it, I wasn't able to continue. So 2 hours, dude.
That's pretty
2
nuts.
hours holding back a shit that gave you poo cramps? You're a legend, Ryan.
That's
okay.
That's a struggle. That's some willpower there to not shit yourself. There's always that moment, you know, where you're like, well, I guess if I shit myself, like
you resign to it.
Yeah, you're like, I guess if it happens, like you start thinking about like, how could I get away with this? And like, would it really be that bad? Could I hide it? Could I?
You're like, what exactly is the worst thing that happens if I shit myself right now? Like, it's just some mild, like, haha, he's got poo pants. Like, well, what exactly might happen? I could just tie my sweatshirt around me and say I farted every 2 feet. Like, you know what I mean? I could cover this shit up, literally. But they say after about 2 hours of holding it, I wasn't able to continue, so I'd wandered very deep into a forest to take the biggest dump. I didn't have paper, so I had to use snow. Nearly froze my ass off. I appreciate that you went for snow. You're in a forest, but just went right for snow. Also, they say that like they I guess elaborated. They live in a place with a lot of forest area, apparently. So I was like, how often do you just wander into a forest?
You're like, oh, what am I gonna do? He took another hour walking to a forest.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know how far I'd have to go to get to a forest in Idaho. Granted, it's like kind of a desert, so finding a forest would be pretty hard. I can find some like weird ass fucking plain shit where it's just like miles of nothing, but like never a forest. So I appreciate that little detail. But the actual question was, if you were stranded in a forest, let's continue with the forest thing, and you really had to take a poop, what thing would be the first you use to wipe your butt? Big Josh boy, stranded in a forest, what are you going to wipe your butt with? By the way, Phil said a rabbit, which I found so weird that he was like, I'd grab a rabbit. And I'm like, how often do you see rabbits? And he's like, it's actually a big problem here, which, all right, okay. I explained like basically the wild hogs thing where it's like people brought them over here to have them as pets and to hunt them. And then they just breed it out of control. And it's like, God, dude, fucking colonization just fucks with the earth.
Yeah.
It's so messed up.
Yeah.
Not to mention like indigenous peoples is also incredibly fucked up. But
a lot of earth problems are because of us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It would be better off if we weren't here. But Big Josh, wait, what you wiping your butt with?
You know, it's funny that they asked this question because I wouldn't know. Like I rarely go camping or go out. Like I remember there was one time I did it and I like went out in the woods. This was in like high school, like early high school. And I went with a buddy of mine and it was like his family and they frequently did this. And I had never been camping out and I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, well, where do I poo? And they were like, here. And I was like, I'm not comfortable with that. And so I didn't poo for 3 days.
Oh my God.
And I had serious stomach issues because of it for a week. It was pretty bad.
Did you have to poo though?
Yeah.
Was it like a subconscious thing or like you were basically just boiling over with a fat turd?
I mean, it was tough. So
okay.
But now I was like, you know what? This question made me think about it. I started Googling it. I would have never known otherwise. Apparently moss is good. Apparently snow is good too, but probably not the best because it's like cold, but it's like,
but snow can also melt. And I feel like that would help you get the poopy off you, you know?
Yeah. See,
like it's kind of like a frozen bidet.
Yeah. Yeah. But the website was like moss, rocks, which they were like, yeah, rocks are really good, which I was like, really? And then certain type of leaves, like I think it was fig or elm. I don't fucking know. Clearly, I'm just going to be going for moss because that's the only thing that I'll remember.
I also love that you seemingly found the only, like one of the few websites on earth that's just like, this is the stuff in the wilderness you can wipe your ass with.
Well, I mean, it was the top results when I was like, what do I wipe my butt in the forest with?
Okay, fair. You know what I find legitimately insane is that no one just goes for the easiest things. First thing I go for, my socks. I fucking, my grandma. I take off her wig. I wipe my butt. I give it back. I'm like, Merry Christmas. No, I would just use my socks. Why? Like, that's the first thing I would go for.
Then you
is
don't
some
have,
article
then
of
you
clothing.
Don't have, what if you're stuck there? You got no sock, and then you get wet shoes, and then you got to cut off you got to amputate your foot. It's all because you took that sock, you know?
Let's throw it back. You could take off your underwear and use that. You don't need that. You can go commando. You could freeze your dick off, but you were probably going to do it anyway.
What if you have to poop twice? Like, what are you going to do?
Then you're fucked, dude. You tear off a sleeve. You got like a long sleeve bros at work. You know, he's not wearing a tank top. You know, he said there's snow. This is obviously like during the winter time. So
but then
rip off a sleeve.
He's going to get cold arms.
Oh my God.
What are you gonna do?
Wipe your ass with snow, apparently. It's the only way. You gotta have a cold ass. You don't get to have cold arms or cold feet. All right, there you go. That's what we wipe our ass with. Big Josh boy shoots straight for moss, and I'm just like, hey, why not just use a sock, bro? Like, it seems like the easiest answer for that one. They also write in and say, if you could marry one game, what would it be and why is it The Binding of Isaac?
Clearly Big Josh boy, me.
Okay, yeah. Would you like if you could marry a one game though? Would you marry The Binding of Isaac?
So that is a weird concept because like
I would also say this would be like in a fuck, marry, kill scenario.
Yeah,
in my mind.
Yeah. Which I guess I would be fine with because if it was in under those rules, I wouldn't want to fuck Isaac for many reasons.
Fair. I didn't necessarily mean it literally. I mostly meant it as like the same reasons that you would marry someone or you would fuck, marry, or kill someone.
Yeah.
You would
like,
attribute
look,
that to the indie game.
I love this game. Don't get me wrong. But like if I'm gonna marry a game, I'm probably gonna marry like Subverse or something with lots of waifus. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. We have very different takes on how to answer this question.
Well, I'm thinking of it like realistically, if I married a game. If there was like, if I was part of the, like, I'm thinking of like you marry the game, so you're in a way part of that world. Like they come into your reality, right? So a lot of fucked up shit in Isaac. If we're talking about just like marry in the fact of like till death do you part and you're, like that's your game and you just play that. Like, I guess it would have to be already Isaac. Like I'm already married, right? In more ways than one.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, all right. So just to take it both ways, if it was literally to marry a video game, you best believe I'm going for Princess and Conquest, dude. I'm looking for that high school DxD scenario. I want the harem of beautiful monster people. Let's fucking go. But outside of that, like the fuck, marry, kill thing where it's like, okay, you marry a person, it's like you basically like would play this game for the rest of your life. What exactly would I choose in that scenario?
Definitely Isaac.
Definitely Isaac. Okay. I guess if I had to choose a game, I would want it to be somewhat of like an ever-evolving game. I mean, obviously, I don't know.
Like
I'm just going to say...
I feel like roguelikes are the way to go with this answer. Because if you have to play the same game, it's got to have some level of replayability.
I mean, if you have to play the same game for the rest of your life, you could choose a roguelike or... you could choose an MMO, Big Josh. For it. That's what you could do.
That shit sucks.
That's what you could do.
No, but okay. But here's the thing. You can only choose an MMO that would never change.
Why would it never change?
Because, okay, if it's the one game, like think of it in the concept of like you're stuck on an island, right? And like this
in that same vein, though, you just get base Binding of Isaac then. Because otherwise it changes. If you don't count expansions,
I'll allow you as many DLCs Binding of Isaac for expansions in the MMO. So I'll allow you 3 expansions, but that's all you get.
You know what? I'm just gonna shoot for RuneScape because bitch ain't got expansions. It's just updating. Let's fucking go.
No.
So there you go. Another cop-out answer from the cop-out king. They also write in and say, what creature/animal from any video game would you keep as a pet? They say, one of my picks would be the slime from Genshin Impact. I've never played Genshin Impact, but I am a huge fan of slimes. I looked them bitches up. They're cute as hell. They got plushies. Psh, I might have to start playing Genshin Impact so I could justify buying a plushie. You know what I mean? So let's go. What would you take as a pet? And if it's Binding of Isaac, that's kind of creepy because it's a baby.
You know what I mean? Creepy. Yeah, but there's some other creatures. Like there's a little devil creatures that are kind of cute. Like
there's vagina monsters.
There's vagina monsters.
That big lumps of poo.
Yeah. There's a lot of poo. I don't know that I would want that much. If I had to pick, if I'm thinking like realistic, I would go for dog meat from Fallout because dog meat is great.
Oh, dog meat is fantastic.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, certified good boy.
And then if I had to go with like wilds, I would go as far as like, like doesn't actually exist. I would go for a chocobo. I would ride that bitch.
Really? Okay. I mean, if Final Fantasy XIV has taught us anything, it's that chocobos, both mounts and companions, them bitches can cast magic and shit. It's crazy.
A true companion.
That's a good one. Yeah, I would have to choose mainly because I just love this fucking design so much. Is like the slime from Moonlighter. Easy. Like I love it so much. Also, if I had to have one as a pet, I would love to have a ghost from Destiny. Specifically, like, and this is an issue I've had with Destiny, I would like a female ghost. That's just something that I kind of want, like Sagira and Sundance, both really, really cool. But for some reason, Bungie will not allow you to change from fucking Nolan North. It's like ghosts in this game, like lore-wise, actually have different voices. Why is it just Nolan North? Why can't I customize this to be a female's voice? Like, obviously, I don't know necessarily the gender identity of these ghosts, but like I would like one with a female voice. You know what I mean? So like fucking Sundance or Sagira. I'm going to go with that from Destiny.
There
But
you go.
Mr. Wombat Emperor of Australia writes in and says, so I had a dream earlier this week where I found out I had a test. Okay, I said it's just I had testicle cancer, and the only surgeon in the ER, I think that's what they meant it, but who could remove my testicles. I don't know necessarily if you have testicle cancer. They just shoot right for removing it. You know what I mean? Like right for castration. But like, let's go, bro. We get your fucking dream.
You know what?
It was me.
You know
it was
why?
me. I was the only person who could cut out their balls.
You're probably the reason why that was their first, their first solution. It's like, oh, you got tested good? Gonna have to cut them right off.
Yeah.
Just cut them right off.
Just me. I'm just like, give you a little snippet.
Just take them out.
It'd be good.
You can't have cancer if they're not there.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. That's like flawless logic. Needless to say, I noped right out of there and decided to go skydiving instead. Dreams are weird, okay? So, Vaughn, could you remove another man's balls if it was going to save his life? I definitely could. If it was like, I guess it's like in the scenario, if I just like, what tools was I given? But like, if I had to choose, I would go straight up like the rubber band treatment where you just like shoot a rubber band around it and they just fall off on their own. That would be sweet. That would be my ideal scenario in which I have to castrate somebody. Otherwise, I guess I could use like some hedge trimmers or like some pruning shears and just like stand far away and just, like, there's different ways to go about this.
I enjoy this scenario. Not really, but I enjoy the scenario because you're literally doing this with hedge trimmers and the other guy's just like, all right, you got to do what you got to do. Chop them off.
I would like to say I'd knock them out first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Like maybe some anesthesia. Maybe I'm just like, give them that quick bop to the head.
That
like
quick
something.
Bop.
I feel like the rubber band would be the easiest, or you know what? Let's go fucking crazy. Liquid nitrogen. Just freeze them balls. And then just whack them with the ball being hammer. They explode. Definitely. I didn't necessarily think about the explosion thing. Like that would be kind of gross. But like
real gross.
Would be cool. Would be a very interesting way to go about that. They also write in and say, what's the longest amount of time you have spent in one gaming session? So Big Joshua, what's the longest amount?
Well, as of recent, probably just like 3 to 4 hours of time. Usually if I hit anything more than that, I start to feel real shitty about myself where I'm like, I got to do something productive. I can't just fucking sit here. Like I get real heavy anxiety when it comes to enjoying myself. I can't have any of that.
Okay.
But when it comes to being a kid, I used to just play for full days. Like, 8+ hours, I would just sit in front of my console and I would literally just play whatever. I mean, especially when I was a kid, like when you were like young kid on like summer break and you only had like a few games and you had to just keep replaying them because, you don't have the money to buy new games. I would just spend so much time replaying. Like, I think I played that Maximo game. It's a very old PlayStation 1 game. I played a ton of that and I was real bad at it. So I played the same 3 levels a lot.
I've definitely had that experience as well. Not specifically with Maximo, like fucking on PS2, like Tack and the Power of Juju always got me where I was just like, how the fuck do I play this game? I don't understand. Longest gaming session, I believe, so when Destiny 2 The Taken King came out, the like I guess 3rd expansion, maybe 4th expansion, I think it's the 4th after House of Wolves. When it came out, basically like me and my friends stayed up for what would be like a day and a half, upwards of 2 days. Like I think we did take like naps and such, but like I remember buying Red Bull. And I bought like blueberry Red Bulls because I like them, but also because you could get codes, like experience codes for Destiny by purchasing those. So I bought those, stayed up a shitload. Also, like when I bought The Last of Us on day 1, I literally stayed up all night and just played it and just beat it, mainlined it. It was so good. I loved it so much. But yeah, I would say the longest, probably like a day and a half. Yeah. would be like
a
a
long
full
time.
24 hours.
It's a long time.
So there you go. But that is the end of this episode. I just swallowed some spit. I'm gonna die. So
That's the end. Thanks, folks. It was great. We did 167 episodes, and now Vaughn's dead. Well,
exactly.
I will upload the footage and see you never.
I love that you're like, I'll do that. It was his request. It's in his will.
I gotta do it.
So that is the end of this episode. Thanks everyone so much for listening. If you would like to chat with us outside of the show, you could do so in a bunch of different ways. You can hit us up over on Twitter at IndiePod. You could talk to me at Hyde Legion over on Twitter, and you can talk to Josh at _Josh90. Hop into our Discord, hang out with us there. We've gotten actually a bunch of new people, so that's pretty sweet.
Thank you.
You can also, of course, become a patron. It's just, I think, patreon.com/IndiePod. You can get these episodes early. You can get them ad-free. You can get discounts on our merch. You can be part of the book club episodes and so much more.
Yeah.
All you got to do, give us a little bit of money. It's actually not too much. Our highest tier is $5. We don't really fuck around with the big tiers because we don't know what we'd give for that.
We'd
and
have
then
to
there's
actually
Phil,
start
who just
real-
pays us for no reason.
Phil's crazy. Phil's a great lad. We don't do like we'd have to start actually doing something if we ask for more money. We'd have to be like, all right, we'll make special content specifically for you. Like we do that with the book clubs.
We definitely would.
And whatnot. And we try to get people involved. But like, I don't know what people would want if we had a higher tier. Like
I don't know, dude. I've been told multiple times butt pics.
All right. Well, you can start an OnlyFans and they can join that. But that'll be like our goal is like if we can hit like a certain per month amount, we'll open an OnlyFans for you.
All right, there you go. Fucking Phil's gonna be like, I'll pay it easy. Let's see them cheeks. Please be sure to check out our awesome developer interviews going live each and every Wednesday. The one going live immediately after this episode for patrons, but 2 days before for plebes is with Sergio Gill of Code 351. I almost did it again, dude.
I was worried.
It's like it throws me off.
It's
Code
tough.
351. They are talking about the game Project Haven. Of course, that goes live on Wednesday, the 5th of January. Head over to the IndiePod store over on Teespring. We've got hoodies, we've got t-shirts, we have stickers, and soon to be masks when I feel like actually doing it. Head over to YouTube, just IndiePod, super easy to find. Leave us reviews on any site in which you can do so, specifically iTunes and Spotify helps us out the most. And lastly, thank you so much to all of our amazing patrons at the $3 tier or higher. If you give us any amount of money or any amount of your time, you're absolutely fantastic, and we love you for it, but we got to thank them $3 patrons. So thank you so much to Ryan, Ethan, a gamer for fun, John, it's just John.
Just John, baby.
Zach Durham, Chase Hopkins, Philip Renshaw, the Wombat Imp of Australia, and Sam Fillion from Canada. Thank you all so much. You are all so amazing, and we will talk to you all next week. Goodbye.
Bye.